Right, so I've just hit record, and for people watching this, I did initially have a plan for this conversation, and we was going to talk about branding and going into Danielle's, sort of story and journey as I would normally. But prior to hitting record, we both started talking about our journeys as a parent. Like my daughter now, she's 6, and Danielle is in the very early days. How old is your little one now,
So he
or currently?
is he's 7 months, but he'll be 8 months in about 10 days or so. Yeah, he's not far
So
off
in
now.
your world, it's all still very new and all still very fresh and stuff like this. And is this the first podcast that you've done since being a mum?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we get
Yeah.
the fresh interview. So, like I said, I did originally have a plan for this, but I think it'd be really good to talk about this process. So
Mm, absolutely.
you've so prior to being pregnant and giving birth to a child, you was working and still are working as a brand identity designer, and you work in branding strategy and graphic design.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And
It's funny because it's funny, isn't it, when you hear labels and titles, you think, does that really sum up what I do? And I don't think any title would ever fully sum up what I do, but yeah,
you're
brand
similar to me. You
identity.
do. I say you do a lot more strategy than I do, but it's strategy design, and then you've got your podcast as well. So it's pretty
Yeah.
full on. Like you're doing a lot, and
Mm,
you've gone through that, and then obviously you've gone through the whole growing a human inside of your body and adjusting to that. I'd be curious to know how you prepared for that, because you obviously would have needed to wind down at some point, and you've been on maternity leave essentially um,
yeah.
uh, over the past 7 or 8 months or
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, yeah. How did I prepare for
if you
um
can.
I'm trying to think because it's all a bit of a blur if I'm honest here.
I
um
think I mean I can share some of my stuff. So my for perspective, my daughter's now 6, so this was quite some time ago now. But for me and my daughter's mum, we're now separated. But my daughter's mum was working prior to getting pregnant, and then we just agreed between us. It's like, I'll do the work, you take, you basically quit your job,
yeah.
and then raise our daughter. So we did it that way, where she didn't need to worry about work because I took that responsibility. I don't know if your partner has
Yeah.
taken any of that responsibility as
So,
well,
um we are both self-employed.
making things easy for yourself.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. So, I think back to some of the conversations that we had. We always knew that at some point, um, we wanted to have a family, and it's different as a woman because you've got a biological clock, and I'm getting towards my late 30s now. And women are having children later and later. But it was something that we knew that we wanted, all being well, because it's not always a given, is it? But we talked about what we do in terms of just making sure that we don't live. Me and my partner try not to live beyond our means. That was a big thing. So we don't really splash out on like takeaways, and neither of us are big drinkers. Neither of us smoke. We don't really go out very much. It all sounds quite boring actually, but
This is real. I think it's good that we're being real.
yeah. And so we've got we've got savings. With if we need something, we can afford to do it. Um, I actually sat down when I found out I was pregnant. I actually sat down and started googling how much it costs to to bring up a child on average, and apparently while they're a baby, it's not a lot. It's as they get older, things get pricier. Um, but we kind of did the maths around what we'd need, what bills would go up. Childcare when he starts nursery was a big one, and um, then later on in life, school trips and things. So we had a bit of an overview as to what it was actually going to cost. And once we saw it on paper, we realised it wasn't actually that much more in sort of the early years. So we had that conversation, and then when it came to talking about obviously maternity leave and stuff, that was really complex because as being self-employed, but also the fact that I am a director of my own company and it's a company of one, I don't think HMRC knew what to do. So luckily I've got a really good accountant and she was really, really supportive. Um, and I think that's something I'd say to anyone that's self-employed, that's thinking about having a family. Like, make sure you've got a good accountant. Like Jodie is worth her weight in gold. She's been incredible. And without her, I don't really think I'd have got maternity pay. Now, I know a lot of women that are self-employed that have tried to get maternity pay, and it's been so complicated that they've ended up not doing it.
Can I briefly ask you a couple of questions? So you operate as a business, I guess, because
Yeah.
I'm a sole trader, so
Hmm.
I don't charge VAT or anything like that.
Yeah.
So you've only been able to get this because you are operating as an actual business. How does it work with the maternity pay? Because I didn't realize that you could gain access to that. Are the government
Yeah.
paying that?
Yeah, so the way it
Nice.
works, it's really complicated, Ian, but in a nutshell, so because I pay and have paid contributions, national insurance and things like that, even though I'm self-employed, I'm entitled to maternity pay, and I don't think a lot of people know that. I don't think a lot of
I
women
didn't
know that.
realize that. I would have assumed that it was like you would have to do it out of your own funds,
Yeah,
being
no.
self-employed.
So there's this form that I had to fill in, and bearing in mind I'm like really pregnant, like not very well, and I mean no one likes filling in forms at the best of times, but I had to fill in this form, and it was like 30 odd pages long. Anyway, I filled it in, sent it, and then HMRC said to me that the company that I was director of needed to pay my maternity pay. They were like, "Oh, we see you're director of Danielle Clarke Consultancy. They need to pay your maternity pay." And I was like, "That is a company of one, and I own that company. So how's that going to work?" And they kept saying it. So anyway, I cut a long story short. My accountant had to speak to two other accountants to find out what it was I needed to do, and it turned out that I needed to apply for maternity pay through payroll.
Okay.
So it was a whole different procedure. But because I had the right people around me, it meant that I could get it. Now, I know someone else that's self employed, and she just didn't bother because it was so complicated and she didn't know what to do and she didn't have anyone to support her. And I think without that, because it's not a great, it's not a monumental amount of money. It does help, but it's not a lot. I think without that, it almost puts people that are self-employed into a real financial difficulty when you just had a child, when you know
Yeah.
that your finances are going to be hit anyway. So yeah, it's been stressful. That was really stressful, but thankfully I had a good accountant, so I managed to get it.
It's good to know that that is a possibility for anyone that's considering it, because like I said, I had no idea. Obviously, I assume that you can't do it if you're a sole trader. But being
I think you can. I
you
think you
can. Oh,
can, Ian.
interesting.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm pretty
Because you're
sure.
still paying national insurance,
Yeah,
so technically you have the rights to it.
yeah. It's to do
Interesting.
with your national insurance contributions, and I think there's something, potentially something else, but
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
yeah.
Because when my daughter was born, I was still working part-time for a company.
Okay.
So, and I did get um, my paternity leave. It wasn't long, like 2 weeks, something like that. But that was a nice thing to get that they offered me.
Mm.
But
Two
yeah,
weeks is crazy.
it's not long enough, and it's why I eventually decided to take the leap. So I was working part-time anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
at that point, I was at this stage where I was only working for that company 3 days a week, and then I was working for myself the rest of it. But it was my daughter was the primary reason why I decided to eventually take the leap and work from home. It was because all the little videos that kept coming, kept being
Oh,
sent to me from my daughter's mom saying, "Oh look, she did this little giggle today," and like silly little things. But it's I from my side, I just did the maths and I worked out how many projects do I need to get each month to replace um my part-time salary, and uh, it was ridiculous. I'm like, what do I once I
yeah,
sat down and did the math, I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I
yeah,
working for someone else?
yeah. And
Because
that's
it
the
was
thing.
literally like two projects or something
Yeah,
like that to replace it.
yeah. And I encourage people to do that. Like, I'm not a fan of numbers, and I often avoid anything to do with maths. I'm not that. I don't think that way. But I realised how important it was to get my numbers down, and before I became self-employed, I figured out what my uh necessities were in terms of my outgoings, like all the things that I needed to live. Nothing lavish, but just survive and thrive a little bit. And when I got it all down on paper, I was like, actually, this isn't that much. If I just get a couple of clients, I can do this. And then before I decided to go fully self-employed, um I saved 6 months runway. So I made sure I had 6 months of bill money absolutely covered, so that in the back of my mind, it took the pressure off. It was like, okay, if I do not get a project in the first 6 months, when you put it like that, it's like, of course I'm going to get a project. Of course I'm going to get a client in 6 months. But
That's what I was thinking.
if I don't, it's going to be okay. I've got some security, and it stopped me from knee jerking into jobs that I didn't really want to, or working with clients that I didn't really want to take on. I've been in the corporate world. I've worked with clients and had bosses that weren't very, very nice and used to make my life difficult, and I used to feel shit going into work, and that was one of the reasons, having been made also redundant 3 times in my career, I decided that enough was enough and I was going to take back control. So it was an amalgamation of things that led me to becoming self-employed. But now I have a child, I can absolutely see why you decided to become self-employed, having your daughter, because they change so quickly, so rapid. Everyone says they do, and then you have one, you're like, wow.
My daughter, she's 6 now, and I don't know where the last 6 years have gone. It's just been an absolute blur.
Mm.
So I can't imagine, like for you, it must feel like you was only pregnant like 2 weeks ago.
It does. It does. My pregnancy wasn't. I mean, some women say they really enjoy being pregnant. I didn't. I didn't. It was difficult. There was a lot of nausea and discomfort and extreme fatigue. Um, I remember sitting on a Zoom call with a client, and I wasn't yet on maternity leave, because the idea is that you stretch it out for as long as you can, as closest as you can, rather to your due date, and that's what I did. And so, while I was expecting, sort of, 3, 4, 5 months in, I was absolutely exhausted and still having to work. And I remember being on a Zoom call, sat in this very chair at this very desk, and being so tired, and just wanting the call to be over so I could just go and lie down, because I was so
Oh,
tired.
bless you.
I didn't even have the energy to sit up in my chair. I was that tired, and it's like a tiredness I've never experienced before in my life. It just sucks every ounce of energy from you, and it did for me. And so, luckily, being self-employed allowed me to be able to go and take a nap after meetings. And if I was having a bad morning, because I had really, really bad morning sickness. In fact, I wouldn't have called it morning sickness. It should have been called all day sickness, because it happened at any point during the
Oh
day.
dear, man.
But things like that, like being able to be like, you know what, I'm having a really rough day. Work is just not going to happen today. I'm going to contact my clients and just say, can we postpone this? Or I just need to rest, or whatever it is. I've got an appointment and I need to go that. I need a checkup. Whatever it is, being self-employed allowed me to do that during my pregnancy. And I think about women that are employed that have to do that. It's really difficult, really, really difficult. And I salute any woman that, and all the women that do continue to go to work throughout their pregnancy, because it's really tough, especially if you have a tricky pregnancy.
And how are you finding it since your little one's been born? Because you're what was it, 7 months in? You said
Yeah.
7 months was it? Yeah, so you're 7 months in now,
Mhm.
and what you're doing now, I consider this work. What you're doing now, it's like you're sitting down, you're presenting your professional front. um, have you needed to do any work around that time with your son, or have you been able to fully take the time off?
So up until so where we're in November now, time of recording, but up until last month, I wasn't doing any work.
Okay. I know
So
you spoke at the Palooza event.
yeah,
I can't
yeah,
believe it. You're
y-
there like in
yeah.
your suit and looking great and
Mm.
being on the stage sounding great. And then off the stage, and then you're with your little one. Full respect to you for doing that.
Oh, thank you, Ian. No, I appreciate that. It's yeah, when I get the email from Mike, because he received my out of office saying that um, I was enjoying being a new mum, and I was out of office on maternity, and I'd speak to him next year, and he was really shocked that over here we can take up to a year off. I think he's still trying to process that, because I don't think they get much time off in the US.
It's hard because 1 year is not even long enough, really. Because it's still, I mean, for women, your body is still repairing itself,
Yeah, yeah, it
and it's
is.
just
It's
adjusting to the sleep. Like there's so much that you go through.
Yeah, it's major. It's major, and I think now that I'm a mum, I realise just how monumental it is that as as a woman we're able to, grow a life, and grow, you have to grow a whole organ to sustain
Yeah,
that
you're
life.
growing an entire human being inside
Yeah.
of you.
And then there's this expectation to be firing on all cylinders, and getting our bodies back to how they were before, and emotionally, being okay and physically being like, it's just not possible. Uh, I say to, because I had a bit of a blip before doing more Palooza, because I'm going to be super honest now, but becoming a mum made me lose confidence. It made me lose confidence in my abilities. It made me lose confidence in the way I look and the way I carry myself, because physically I've changed. I put weight on, and I had to kind of check in with myself and go, could I really expect to have a baby and grow a human being and not expect to see a difference or feel a difference? And I had to check in with myself and give myself a bit of grace. And I felt, when Mike sent that email and asked me to come and speak at More Palooza in London, I was kind of umming and ahhing about going, because I was worried. I had a moment where I was like, but do I still remember? Like, do I still remember what, my stuff? Can I still talk about branding and business and values and all that sort of stuff? And of course I can. It's just because I've been thinking about baby stuff naturally for so long that part of me was worried about how I would come across. But I think it's really important to talk about it and to share it, because I know I'm not the only mom that feels like that. And I think as well, in the creative industry, in our industry, there's so much of what we do is based on opinion and sort of gut feeling and sort of knowing when something's right. That intuitively, if you're not feeling confident and secure in yourself, you second guess yourself even more, because you don't always have the guts to kind of back up what you're saying, if you're not feeling like really like, yeah, that's the right answer, or this is what I know and believe about how something looks or sounds. Because that's the thing with creativity, it's all very subjective, isn't it? There's no real right or wrong answer. So yeah, I had a bit of a wobble before more Palooza, but I thought to myself, hang on a minute, Mike's asked me, and I need to remember that. And then I thought, the way to make it work is to bring family with me. So I spoke to my partner, and he was all for it and very happy to support. And so him and my son came along, and we turned it into a little family break, and it was brilliant.
You know what I think is important? It's the exact reason why I'm thought, let's scrap the ideas I have. Let's just record this, because we was both talking about this. But I think what makes it even more important that you was there is that you've been through this, and it's a human experience. It's a normal human experience, whether you're male or female. I know men obviously don't give the birth to a child, but if they are with their their children's mom, they would experience that, and they would be around that. And I think it's so important that it is spoken about. And I think it's really nice that he, because I know when you came on, you're like, oh, I'm so tired, and I'm like, let's let's talk about, let's be real about this and raw, because it's conversations like this that actually help people.
Yeah,
Because I know
yeah,
you said to me, like, I'm a single parent. I literally raised my daughter on my own. I've got 50-50 custody of her. And that was really hard to get. Like, I haven't spoke about it much on the podcast, but that sadly had to go through the family court system. That cost me tens of thousands of pounds. I lost a lot. Like, I lost like the house of books I needed to pay for the legal fees and stuff like that. It's not nice to go through that, and you're still trying to run a business on the side, but just adjusting to being in a situation where you do have this normal family life where you're sharing responsibilities to, right, it's all on you now. And adjusting to that. And yeah, I found it really um challenging as well, that men also go through these things but don't necessarily talk about it, because it's just like socially you feel like you have to pretend that everything's okay. But like that sort of imposter syndrome that you have, I have the same. Like I haven't done my podcast properly in like 2 years, and I'm trying to get back to it, and I'm trying to do it in a new way, because 2 years has passed. The world has changed so much
Yeah.
in 2 years. Like the process for recording podcasts, putting out podcasts, what people expect, how people consume content has changed so much. So it's really daunting. Like there's whole new groups of people that are doing what we were doing, and it's very uncomfortable. And when you've had one of those days where like I'll go and collect my daughter from school, she wants dinner, she wants this, I put her to bed, she doesn't want to sleep. And
It's
you know
difficult.
yeah, you got this reality check, but
Yeah.
then you want to still do stuff like what we're doing now,
Yeah.
and you kind of
Yeah.
not got to put on a professional front. But
Absolutely.
I've done 3 episodes today, in a row. And this morning I was thinking, I don't think I could do that. I don't think I've got the energy to do one, let alone three.
Yeah.
But it's just like once you sit down and get on with it, it's actually manageable. And you were
Yeah.
great. You were so good on the stage. You're so confident. You wore your was it
It
purple suit,
it was pink.
pink
Yeah.
pink suit.
Pink.
You wore pink suit.
Yeah.
So cool. And
And it was
yeah, you
all
came across really
intentional.
well. It's all part of branding, isn't it? But yeah, you had these doubts, and I had those doubts as well. But actually, I think this is why Mike wanted us there, because we are some of you in the industry that aren't, they that don't have a big ego and speak openly and honestly about these things, because this is what this is what people connect with, I
Yeah,
feel.
it's just about keeping it real. Like there's enough people out there, um, a lot of the bros and a lot of the bros and boss babes. Not all of them, but some of them, you know, promote this hustle culture and this culture where everything's perfect and they're all doing really, really well and making loads and loads of money and nothing ever goes wrong. 10x in this. And I just think, like, people more and more now are just seeing through it all. And
Mhm.
the reason I think part of the reason that I do keep it real is because I find it really hard to hide how I feel anyway. So I might as well just be honest.
Like I said, people connect with it more anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was so glad that I did more Palooza because afterwards I had people come up to me and say how inspired they were and how much what I said had resonated with them. And a lot of those people were the women in the audience. And it was more women than men that came up to me. I had a few men come up to me and I had a few messages as well. But they were like, "Oh, it was so good to see another woman up there." And when you said that, that was really inspiring. And so, I'm glad I showed up because again, when we show up and we're vulnerable and we're honest, as cliche as it sounds, that is what connects us with each other. That's what binds us and that's what makes us go, "Oh, actually, yeah, like when you said about being a single dad, I didn't know that. Like, and I've got a partner And this is really hard.
I don't have a support system either, because in order to get equal custody of my daughter, I've had to move to where my daughter's mum lives, and I don't have any family here. Like, I've had to move somewhere completely new without like a family, friends, or anything like that around, and that's been really hard to adjust. And obviously, I still need to keep my business going.
Yeah,
I don't
yes.
have the backup, like my old backup plan. If my business didn't succeed, my old backup plan was I could get my old job. That's
Mm,
no longer an option anymore. I have to make this work.
yeah.
But I've made it work, and um, I, when it was hard was when my daughter was still only 3, and at that point she wasn't going to uh nursery, and she wasn't yet at school. So when I had her with me, sometimes I had to still take telephone calls. And she was only 3. She's 6 now. But like sometimes I just had to have meetings because I needed the money coming in.
Mm,
I needed to keep my business going, and I'm like, this will be fine. Like, I just have to cope with this until she starts school
yeah,
in September. And I was just getting by, to be honest. And
yeah.
I know I had times where
So were you transparent
I
with your clients? Like,
yeah,
how did they?
that's yeah, I was just about to explain. So with my clients, when I had a Zoom call, I just let them know, so that you're aware, I've got my daughter with me. She's only 3. I don't have anyone else at home with me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, give her put something on the TV and give her some crayons and sit down and tell her, Daddy really needs to do this. Can you sit down quietly? And sometimes it's been an absolute amazing, precious little thing where she'd be sat there for like a good half an hour. And then I've had other times where I've started a call with somebody, and then like within 30 seconds, she's done a drawing and she wants to show me. And I'm like trying to, speak to the client, and she's like, Daddy, 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 not listening to me, Daddy, like, having a full on tantrum.
Oh
And
God.
I'm like, I'm really sorry. Can you give me a minute? I just
Mm,
need to, and tell her, oh, I love your drawing. It's amazing.
yeah.
Can you draw Daddy another one? Then she go back. So, guys, I'm going to pause the interview just for a moment to share something I'm really excited about, and something that I would love for you to be part of, and that's More Creative Academy. If you're a designer, a freelancer, or agency owner, you'll know how isolating it can feel running a creative business. That's exactly why More Creative Academy exists. It's the ultimate platform for creative growth, offering coaching from Michael Jander, a huge library of resources, and a supportive community that truly understands your personal challenges and celebrates your wins with you. And here's the exciting part for you as a listener of this podcast. I am now part of the More Creative Academy leadership team. So every month, I will be hosting an exclusive live Geek Out session inside the Academy, where I will dive deep into a creative topic with a guest and just geek out. For example, this month I'll be creating a mascot live step by step with Steph Hammerlink. Next month, we'll be making Sonic branding with Drop Music branding. And the following month, David Airy will be joining us to show us exactly how he presents logos to clients who are paying him over £10,000 for a logo. So stop running your creative business alone. Join me, Michael Jander, and an incredible community of creatives who are ready to help you level up. To find out more and join, head to logogeek.uk/MCA. That's logogeek.uk/MCA. Now let's get back to the interview. I've also picked up calls, and by the way, client totally cool with it,
Mm,
totally okay. In fact, if anything, it was actually a good thing
It's interesting,
because they
isn't
kind
it?
of see me more like human. And actually, I've had a lot of clients that I've worked with who have decided to work with me because of, because because I make sure I prioritize my daughter
Mm.
and things like that. But yeah, I've had times where she's been quietly next to me. I picked up the phone and she's like kicked off. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Can I call you back in like half an hour? That one didn't go ahead. But it's like most people are really great. And if I'm being honest, if somebody has an issue with it, I don't want to work with them anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's like um I think it was really valuable for me to go through, because I went through a period of time where I didn't see my daughter. So after me and her mum separated, it took me a little bit of time to get contact back. It took about 6 months actually where I didn't see her. So that made me realize how nothing else matters but her to me. So it's helped me understand what's important. So I've got some non-negotiables now. When I need to collect her from school, I have to be at the front of the queue or as close to the front of the queue as possible. Nobody, no client, no amount of money will take that away. I have to be at the front, and the reason for that is because every time I see her coming out, she's got this little look on her face where she's a little bit like a little lost look, like where's, and you get this few seconds of trying to look, and then she notices, and you get this big grin. She's 6 now. She's been at school for she's in year 2, so it's been, she's in her 3rd year at school. She still does that every single time. So I make sure that I'm always at the front, and
You want to
it's
see
just,
that.
yeah. And I think that it was a horrible time to go through, traumatizing. Like I still traumatized going through the family court process. That was like, family court is just horrible, horrible, horrible system to go through. I would say it's life destroying, can be life destroying. I think it's really traumatizing. But going through that has made me realize that I have to prioritize that. So it's why I decided, okay, I need to give something up. I can't give up client work because that's what pays the bills. I need to give up doing the podcast. I need to give up doing all the social media stuff. So I did stop for a long time.
Hmm. I hear you.
Yeah.
I
And it
stopped
screws with
mine.
with your mental health a bit. My mental health, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's been, a bit up and down. Like, I have some mornings where I don't want to get up. I'm
Hmm.
so worn out and tired. Like,
Yeah,
especially, I don't know, you'll probably find this, but
yeah,
say like
it's
half
difficult.
term,
It's
like I've got my
difficult.
daughter home with me. It's tiring. She
Yeah,
doesn't
it
want to
is.
sleep at
It's
night.
all consuming. Like looking after my son, it's I look forward to when my partner's coming home more than ever because it gives me a break. And when I say a break for me now is being able to go and have a shower on my own or have a bath on my own or
Sit
get
on the
in the
toilet.
car and pop to the shops. Like those things that you feel a mundane task or just things you do, they're my breaks now. Like I remember the first time I got in the car on my own and I think I took a can of Coke or lemonade or something with me in the car and I put some songs on Spotify and I was literally going to Tesco and it felt like I was going on holiday
I hear
because
you.
it's
It does get
exhausting.
easier. It gets easier, but then times like, well, I think the one thing that I really struggle with, and I still struggle with, is when my daughter doesn't want to sleep.
Yeah, it's
I, I've
difficult.
had I've had times where it's taken me like 6 hours, and it's hard when you're tired. and you want them to sleep, and I'm like, I don't have anyone else to pass it over to. It's like I don't. I'm gonna. I have to. I you just want to break down. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But it does get easier, so you know, it
Mm.
does
It
get easier. It's
already
just
is.
changes.
It
Things
feels like we're
change.
out. It feels like we're at the trenches now. But other things come up, like he's more aware now. So when he does go down for a nap, we have to be really quiet. Whereas in the early days, he could do, I'd be vacuuming like around his Moses basket and you wouldn't hear a peep out of him. Now he only has to hear a creaking floorboard and his eyes are open and he's like, what's going on? So there's different challenges
Yeah,
come
things change as
as
we get
yeah.
older. Like it gets easier in one way and harder in the other. I know. I joked before we was recording this because I was asking you, how's it going, and I could feel you was pretending that it was amazing, and I'm like, it's the best worst thing you've ever done, isn't it? Like it's both simultaneously amazing, but excruciatingly exhausting and like
Yeah.
the worst thing you've ever done in your life at the same time. It's so
Yeah.
hard to describe.
It is. It is exhausting. I can understand why they use sleep deprivation as a form of torture because it's real, and when you've got to, when you've got to step up and do stuff like today, this morning I had a catch up with a friend, and there might be some opportunities for us to work together next year, and I said to her, I've got a meeting later and then a podcast because today is one of my kit days. And I said, you know what? I'm thinking about the podcast. And I told you, didn't I, Ian? I said I was worried about coming on because I wasn't sure if my energy levels were going to be there because I did not have a good night's sleep last night. And I'm not feeling tip top. And she was like, oh, just have a coffee, do this, do that. I was like, but it's at 6 o'clock. I can't have a coffee at 6 o'clock because then I definitely won't sleep.
Just
And
so
she gave me
people
some
know, I
really,
did say we can reschedule
yeah,
this, and
yeah,
we had
yeah,
a
yeah.
conversation about it. But
But you were feeling the same because you've recorded so many
yeah, this
today,
is
and
so people know, this is the third one I've done today. And
yeah,
normally I try not to do more than two in a day, just because
mm,
I'm an introvert. Once I've had 3 or 4 telephone calls in a day, I'm like, I'm done.
yeah,
I will go and hide under a
mm.
blanket and play on my phone, or like just go to bed or something like that, just because it's
It's
while
draining.
I'm doing it, I love it. I love doing this while I'm doing it, but it's the afterwards where it starts to sink in, what you've done, and I'm like, I don't feel like talking to anyone anymore. If the phone goes, it's like, nope.
But this is the thing
um
because we kept it real. Because I said to you, like, how you feeling? Like you okay? Like, do you still want to chat? And you said you were excited.
I am, yeah, I do. I once it's funny because you was talking about the imposter syndrome. When I'm not doing this, I'm like, I who are you to talk to that person? Who are you to do this? But I, I, I've done cognitive behavioral therapy before, and it's the thoughts, behavior, and what's the other? I can't remember what the other one is. But if you change the way you think from "I can't do that," who the hell are you to be doing that, to something more like, you've been a designer for 20 years, you've interviewed 150 plus people, you've earned this,
Yeah,
you're allowed to do this.
yeah. You got to reframe
And
it.
if you reframe it, then it's like, yes, I can do it. Maybe I do feel worn out and
Mm.
tired, and feeling like a rubbish parent for whatever reason. You still do it anyway, and just be real, because
Yeah, and I
that's
think
what
this.
people connect with.
Yeah, and there's something around that about showing up, you know, showing up on the days where you don't feel 100%, but you still show up. You
I
still
haven't
give
been
him.
showing up.
You are.
I
But
am
the fact
now.
that you
I'm
it's the way that you show up on the days that you don't feel like showing up that really shows who you are and your character. And
well, you
we
too.
all have
You're
days.
doing this today, so full respect to you. and talking about such vulnerable stuff.
I just think it's
Because
important, and I think now, especially now that I've had a child, I just think I, having been through that, and the birth was difficult, traumatic. I had to have an emergency C-section. There's a lot of things that have happened.
has your body recovered?
Yeah, but
Has
it
it
took a long
repaired?
time. It took a really long time, and I remember coming out of, even before I came out of hospital, like trying to sit up in bed after I'd had C-section and not being able to do it, trying to get out of bed and just not having the strength in my legs or my core to like walk properly. And all I wanted to do was go to a loo. Like, it's really, really hard. And I, that messes with your head, because all of a sudden you don't feel I've always felt quite strong in myself. I keep myself fit and healthy. I eat well. Health and well-being is very, very important to me. Because I feel like if you've got good health, and when I talk about health, I don't just mean physical health. They're all interlinked. Your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health. You can't have one without the other. And I think if you've got good health, everything else falls into place. Um, and so at the point in my life where I'm needed the most, I felt the most weak, the most vulnerable. I didn't feel strong. I didn't trust my body, and my emotions were all over the place because obviously they were. I'd just given birth, and then you're expected to look after this tiny human that
Which is
needs.
also one of the hardest things you will ever do.
So yeah, it's taken its toll, but with that, I found this new level of honesty and vulnerability because I've been through so much, but come through it, and it's made me. I've changed. I think having a child has made me. In a way, I've been born as well. I've become a different person, and I view things very differently. So
I feel the same about, even though I haven't given birth, it's
yeah, but
the
men still
going
go
through the
through a
process.
big change cognitively, emotionally, hormonally. They still go through. You still go through a big change. Yeah, you haven't physically carried, but it's seeing yourself in this tiny little person. It changes everything. It's like nothing else matters really for me. Like, he's my world, and um he also gives me strength and confidence when I feel like I'm unsure about something, or when I feel a bit of that imposter syndrome. My thought process goes, well, in a way I'm doing it for him, because all of this is
I
going to
also
lead to.
feel I also feel that and you wouldn't have experienced this yet, but there are things that you do that they watch and they
Ah.
observe and they see. I mean, some of it's bad things. It's like, where did you pick that up from? And then
Yeah, this
I'm
is
like,
why I need to stop swearing. I mean, I've been trying really hard not to swear on this podcast, because I'm trying to
you
channel it
can if you
now
want to.
before he starts picking things up.
But they watch what you do, and so I released a book about 2 years ago now, Make a Living Designer Logos, and I started writing that before my daughter was. No, it was it before my daughter was born or before me and her mum separated? Anyway, it was before life wasn't very easy.
Mm,
And I remember finding it one day, and it made me feel like it was an incomplete version, and it made me feel sick looking at it. Like I'm never getting back to that thing. But I decided that I needed to finish that because it was nearly done. A couple of people had asked about it, because it was a weird thing, because I felt like I got it out my system and I did what I wanted to do. I didn't care if anyone else read it. I just wanted to do it, and I felt like I did it. But then it was more the case that people were reading it, so I decided I was going to finish it off. So I made it a routine that every day I would sit down and work on it, and this included evenings where I put my daughter to bed. She didn't want to sleep, so it was exhausting for me to physically get her to settle. Even after that, it's like I'm going downstairs and I'm going to work for half an hour rather than going straight to bed. And that wasn't easy, but she helped me launch it. And then she got to a point where it's like, I want to write a book, Daddy. All right, let's get some paper and we'll, fold it up into four and clip it. And she literally, and sorry for people listening to the audio, she literally writes these little books all the time.
Oh,
That's like Evie and Daddy. So that one's called Hiding Spider. That one's called Cardo Meets Evie and Daddy, and she writes these little books all the time. And you know the reason why she does that? Because she's seen me writing my book and getting it published and seeing it as a finished thing and talking to people about it. So I think there's an element of inspiring them as well,
mm,
because they literally watch and learn everything.
yeah,
And if you are, it's very easy to be depressed and stay in bed when sometimes it's hard. They see that as well. But if they see you working and trying and prioritizing them and stuff like that, I think it's really good for them, and I consider that part of it. Um, um, and yeah, something we're going to do. So my daughter's 6 now. We started working on a project together, and we're going to publish a book together that's hers. So it's going to be her story, but I'm showing her how, rather than simply like she'd just randomly slurt out a story about kitties and ghosts and spiders and stuff. We planned it out with post-it notes, and then I'll sit down on, it's her ideas, I'll restructure it, and then I'll print out big sheets, and then she can do the drawings for it, and then I'll scan it all together, and then we'll release it on as like an Amazon book. Not to sell it, just to show her the process,
that's
how it
amazing.
all works and stuff like this. So I
What a
think it's
lovely
nice.
thing to do.
I think it's good that I feel very fortunate, and I believe that you will as well, that you've built a life where you can be there to your entirety to your child,
Mm,
which people can't do, unfortunately, if they have a normal job.
yeah,
They just can't do it. If
no,
they've got a normal 9 to 5, they can't. They have to pay somebody else to bring up their child.
yeah,
But it's the best thing ever to, it's half term. I just take well, I've got no choice. I have to take time. Like, I have to plan around it.
yeah,
But I don't miss any holiday, any event. Um, there for literally, I can be there for everything.
yeah.
I
And
have
that's the
not missed
thing. We haven't got to ask.
anything, and I think, yeah, and you have the same situation, and I think when you sit down working, yes, you're doing it for them so that they can have their life, but just remember they're watching you, and
Yeah,
they're going to learn from you.
he's
We do
already
the Evie and Daddy
watching.
show together. We do the Evie and Daddy show together because I want. So I found it really hard to get comfortable on camera doing things like this. It's literally taken me like 20 years to get to the point where I feel comfortable doing this
It
type
was
of thing.
COVID that made me comfortable being on video. Just started doing it. So COVID came along, and that was how everyone started talking to each other. And then during my daily walk, I found it easy to just talk to the camera and record it. And I just started doing that and uploading it. It was quicker and easier than creating a load of slides for a carousel. And it felt more authentic, and it felt like I was connecting better with people, especially at a time when we couldn't see anyone, we couldn't go out. It feels crazy now that that even happened, but
It does. It doesn't feel
yeah,
real now.
it was COVID that got me comfortable being on video. And then before I knew it, I was having Zoom calls and prioritizing Zoom and Google Meet calls over phone calls with potential clients and prospects and people I was working with. And then before I knew it, I was decided to do a podcast, and it just sort of snowballed, and now I don't even think about hopping on video now.
Do you want to talk? Do you want to share what your podcast is called and what it's about for people
Yeah,
that aren't aware of
absolutely.
it?
Yeah, so the podcast is called Build Better Brands. And the reason I started it was because having worked with a lot of students when I was working at BCU, because I was a lecturer there, teaching on the graphic design and visual communication course. And also there's always clients, I'm sure you'll be the same, Ian, that you come across that you can't help but you want to, but they just don't have the budget to work with
Yeah, I
you.
have it all the time. Sometimes I do anyway. I've
Mm,
had a couple of times where it's like, look, how much can you afford?
mm,
Right, let's do it.
yeah,
I've done that a few times.
yeah.
When I've liked them and I know that they're not taking advantage, and I know that I can make a difference for them.
Mm,
I'll work something out. So it doesn't take me too much time, but I help.
yeah. And so I kept getting lots of that, and I thought to myself, I wish there was a way. And then not just that actually, but coming across people through, whether it was at networking events or friends of friends, that have got these ideas for businesses, they've got these passions, these things that they want to do. And year after year, it's like, have you started that business? Like, what have you done? Like, oh, it's just an idea, or I can't do that. And they just don't have the confidence to do it. So it's an amalgamation of all those reasons that I thought, if I just speak to lots of business owners, either people that have an understanding of brand and have built a brand with that background, whether they've been, to university, or maybe they're self-taught, but their branding is their bag, or people that have got businesses that didn't really understand branding but have grown and developed really strong brands that have been successful, and their passion has become their profession. If I just interview lots of people like that and share that story, I'm going to help all of those people. And plus, I love chatting to people. I'm curious. I'm interested in hearing people's stories, learning about how they got to where they got to, but also sharing the ups and downs, because it's never linear. It's always a bit up and down, and often there's been some hardships, some challenges that they've managed to overcome. And I think sharing those stories are really important to inspire people. Not everything is rosy and fun and easy. And I think sometimes, especially on social media, that's the side of things that we see very often. And a lot of the young generation see this entrepreneurial world, and I think there's this notion that becoming an entrepreneur is really easy and you can make loads of money really quickly, and it's not like that. Running a business is really hard. So I wanted to share those stories and inspire people, and get to know all these lovely people along the way. So that's how it started. I think I got to, it's obviously paused at the moment. I paused it when I discovered that we were
It's
expecting.
going to be hard to get back to it, by the way. But
Yeah. And I thought about getting back to it. And at the moment, I know that it's just not going to be possible. I'm just having a look to see what episode I actually got to. I feel like it was, I'm just looking on Spotify now.
it's fine. Don't stress.
Um, it doesn't tell you the episode number. That's quite annoying.
You have to
Maybe,
add it yourself.
yeah, maybe it was episode 50.
Don't
I don't know.
actually scrap that. I don't think you do.
Yeah, but and like I've had to be real about the things that I'm going to be able to do and the things that I can't do. Um, and also, like, I think that's okay. Like, I'd like to start the podcast again, but do I have time? No. Do I have the energy right now? Probably not, if I'm honest. Um, but I'm more than happy to hop on someone else's podcast and have a
Mm-hmm.
conversation. Like, I've
Mm-hmm.
got the time and energy to do that. But as you know,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of stuff that goes on
Yeah, there's
behind
a
the
lot of
scenes.
planning prior. There's stuff that you need to do afterwards. You know what I think is important to mention? There's things that you will want to do, and it's very easy to say, I don't have time for that. But something I've noticed that things change and adapt, and sometimes you need to make something a priority over another. So with my little one, when it's a half term, I obviously can't do. Well, I mean, I probably could, but I don't have the energy for it. So I just prioritize the time with my little one, and I prioritize the small amount of time I've got left for my client work, and that's prioritize making an income.
Mm,
Yeah, that's more so making an income and caring for my daughter. But um, once my little one went to school, initially I needed to do a lot of driving, which made it quite difficult because if you can imagine, I'd drop my daughter off at school and then I'd have like 3 hours, and then I'd have to drive back, um, which wasn't easy. But now, as of January this year, I I live in walking distance of my daughter's school now, so we can walk to the school and walk back. So I have more time now than I did previously. So that's why I'm like, okay, I need to get back to doing the
yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
It's something I want to do. It's still on my long-term vision. I started to get a bit of FOMO when I was seeing, I started to get the
Ah,
itch back, like I want to do
yeah.
it, and that's helped me get back to doing things, and I thought I'd
Yeah.
try doing it in a new way. That's why I'm doing video now, while I
Mm,
didn't do it before. We
mm,
just slightly mixed things up, and now doing the partnership with Mike has helped as well, because that's given me a bit of I don't know the best way of describing it, like pressure. Like, because I'm not pressure's not the right word, because it's not like I'm feeling stressed about it, but like this, oh, I need to do this because of this.
urgency.
Yeah, urgency. Yeah, I think that's a better word, and
Mm,
having some accountability as well, because I,
yeah,
I want to keep putting out the podcast. I got a reason for it now. So like
yeah,
I've bought new equipment, camera equipment. Like they've got this
yeah. Your
background thing, so I
camera's
can
looking
hide.
good, man.
I can hide like this thing here. It's there, so I can hide my daughter's mess when she's made a mess on the floor. I can just like stick this in front of it. It's like I mean, it looks like a brick wall, but actually, it's just I can fold it up and put it away. So,
Just a minute ago, you mentioned vision, and
yeah, long-term vision. I think I always think this is so important, because you can like there was a period of time where that wasn't a priority for me right now. This is what I was trying to get to. I went off topic, but raising your son is your priority right now. Building your business is not your priority right now. This isn't the season for that. This is the time where your son is small. He's going to be small only once.
yeah,
If you miss that, it's gone. Spend as much time
yeah,
with him as you can.
yeah.
Enjoy it as much as you
And that
can. Like,
was that was part of, earlier on you were asking me about how we planned it. That came into play. I spoke to lots of other women that run their own businesses, and I got very different perspectives, and they shared like what they did once their children were born. One of them was back at work within the first week of the son being born, and was taking phone calls and had him in her arms because that was what she needed and I assume wanted to do. Um, Another one, took time off properly to be there for her daughter. And I just sort of thought to myself, because I was worried about work. I was worried about disappearing. I had conversations with other business owners and said, well, what am I going to do about LinkedIn? And what am I going to do about my podcast? I'm going to disappear
I can
for
assure
months
you
and
it doesn't
months and
matter.
months. Yeah,
Doesn't
but at
matter.
the time, when you're in the midst of it and you spent all this time and effort building up a profile, building up a presence, doing all this work, he wasn't here yet. So I wasn't in that zone. I was in that frame of mind. Now he's here. I look back and I'm like, why was I can understand why I was worried and concerned. But at the same time, I'm like, don't need to worry about that because he's growing so fast and so much is changing, and all these little moments and memories and experiences that we're sharing are so precious, and there's just no way I'd have let work get in the way of that. It's just,
Yeah, don't, because it goes so fast.
yeah,
Like it feels like those moments where you put your little one to bed, he settles, you walk out the room, and then you got to go back and do that again, and then again, and then again. Like that's in the moment, it's like kill me now because I'm so tired. But when that's gone, you kind of miss it.
yeah, yeah,
So I think it's really important to not miss it, and also from their perspective, that's such an important stage of their life.
yeah,
You being there
yeah,
is the most important thing for them. So things like being concerned that the audience goes. Something I found released in my book. Um, the amount of support I got from the community was just unbelievable. And I hadn't been doing my usual posting every day thing. So I was concerned launching that, but people don't suddenly forget you. People
no,
have their own busy lives.
yeah,
People don't even notice that you
no,
haven't been posting
yeah,
because there's so much
yeah.
content out there. I mean, it
Although
obviously does.
I did have some
It
people
does.
notice. I
Oh,
must
that's good.
say, I
That's a
did.
good thing. That's a good
I
thing.
did. I'd posted recently saying I'm still on maternity. I've been doing blah blah blah, but I'll be back in Jan. And I had a few people going, "Oh, I was wondering where you were. I was just saying to so and so, I'd not seen Danielle on here for a while, and here you are."
Oh, bless.
So that
Oh,
was
bless.
nice. But yeah, like I don't have any of those feelings now. Like he's my focus, and I actually wrote a vision down. I've got it here on my desk next to me. I won't. Obviously, you're recording, but it is here.
I can't see it.
Yeah. I wrote it on the 2nd of October.
Is this something you want to read out, or is it private?
It is private,
Okay, you don't have to
um,
share it.
but my vision revolves very much around my son now and
It should. It
all the
should.
things
It's
that,
the same with mine around my daughter. Like she's
yeah,
priority number one. Everything has to be like she's the center of everything.
yeah, all the things that I
Um,
want to do, and for him and the places that I want to take him and important birthdays and things. And so now, whatever, in terms of the business and what I'm doing, working with the right people and saying yes to certain things has to align with this vision now and the way that I want my life to be, and that includes being able to take him to school, being able to see his plays, being able to take him to special places on special birthdays, and all of those. It's about me being able to be present and witness all those amazing milestones and all those experiences we're going to have, like when we can first take him on his first holiday and he gets on a plane for the first time, and like hopefully this Christmas when he sees snow, and being able to, if it does snow, we can have a snow day and I haven't got to let anyone know. Like I can just do it.
Yeah, you
Like
can just do it.
all
That's
of
the
those
beauty of it.
things.
I think I can hear your little one in the background.
Yeah, you
I think he
probably
wants
can.
mummy. I
It's
think he wants
it's
mummy.
it's
We've
almost
you know what we've
bedtime.
been we've been talking for longer than I thought we would
Mm,
actually. But I'm so glad that we decided to like scrap the plan and just talk as we was prior to him record, because this has been such a good conversation. I've not heard conversations like this. I think it's important to have these. I know everyone's I know everyone that's a new parent. They struggle.
yeah,
I think it's
it's bloody
normal.
hard. It
It
is.
is.
And anyone that says it isn't is lying.
Well, I'm gonna let you now. You can sleep because I know you was worn out. Although I can't hear him now. But yeah,
His
you
dad's
need to
settling
now
him.
put your little one to bed,
Yeah.
and you can go to bed and lie down now after this. But I hope that people watching this have found it useful, inspiring, and so on. And what I
Yeah.
would do is I'll make sure to link to your podcast, your work. I think you're brilliant with everything you're doing. I
Thank
have
you.
so much respect for the transparency that you shared in this. I really appreciate you deciding to do this, even though you felt. I could tell at the beginning. You're like, I don't. I could just feel it. You're like, you don't want to do this, do you? Like you want to do it, but your
Yeah.
body doesn't want you to do it.
Yeah, but I'm so glad I did, and I feel so energized now. And you've honestly, thank you for creating space. Thank you for inviting me on.
You're welcome.
It's been so easy talking to you. And yeah, it's a privilege to be on this show. It really is. Like, logo geek, man. You're a big deal, Ian. So yeah, it's awesome being on. Thank you.
You're very welcome.